Joining me today to discuss OT cybersecurity is Richard Springer. He's Director of Product Marketing for OT Solutions at Fortinet. Welcome, Richard.
Thanks for having me, Sid.
Cybersecurity spans a whole range of types of solutions and those things. Can you just kind of describe where Fortinet fits into that market right now? I know you've got more than what many people may think.
Sure. Yeah, the more than would be our OT security platform. And with that platform, we're able to provide the first solutions of connectivity. So taking from the enterprise and bringing that connection to that firewall to the factories. And then we can take our secure networking solutions and take them down through the network in the factory, down to the factory floor. We also have a portfolio of zero trust solutions that we can bring in as well. They can marry with that enterprise strategy of zero trust. And then also OT security operations. So with these security operations solutions, these are custom built industrial solutions. So they're able to digest and interpret and inspect those protocols that are so critical down at the factory floor. And then likewise, we have our own threat intelligence provided from our FortiGuard labs, and then a real wide array of technical partners and alliances in order to integrate the existing solutions and really aggregate that into our solutions and really make the OT security platform a very powerful tool for factories if they're looking to operate independently, or to be able to bridge that divide between the enterprise with our corporate security fabric solutions and then our OT security platform. We can really converge those and really bring some optimization to CISOs and corporations looking to bring security again all the way down to the factory floor.
As you know, we're seeing a lot more attacks lately,
Sure.
very serious attacks
Right.
on OT systems as well as IT
Yeah.
systems, which I know you cover both of those.
Yeah.
Are there any advice or lessons you can suggest to our viewers about
Yeah.
what to do or how they can prepare for that?
Yeah, the lessons I can really convey from the many customers that we've seen globally across verticals is that the cyber risk to the industrial side of businesses has really elevated. And so we've seen that for a couple different reasons. One, the ransom calculus is increased based on some of the production stoppages we've seen globally. And then I see that from who's coming to the table. So we see the CISOs coming to the table now because that risk is elevated into that top 3 or top 5. So that's one advice, is really evaluating your risk and evaluating what happens at the factory if something should occur. Now, as far as preventing that, as I mentioned, just bringing secure networking to the factory when that connection is there a proper next generation firewall. Again, then getting into switching and segmentation, preventing east-west traffic movement, and then those security services as well. Are they customized and industrial built to be able to provide security all the way from the offices there at the factory, being an IT type of zone, down to that factory floor, because then you get into pure OT devices. So really, when you're bringing security into the factory, you're making that connection. Do I have the capability to address both IT and OT devices in that factory? And then again, do I have it specifically down to where the communication is different? Is the coverage custom built in that aspect?
In your interactions with end users, I know you have a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
What do you sense? Do you get a sense that they're getting more serious about their OT cybersecurity or industrial cybersecurity, whatever term one might use today?
Right. Absolutely. The seriousness, again, back to the self-assessed risk. We've certainly seen more events come across, publicly. And the reason we're seeing that is the publicly traded companies are now via the SEC having to report within 4 days. So there's that. We are being more educated. It's not finger pointing. It's really bringing awareness so we can share that risk to other industries and verticals. We just had the director of the FBI briefing Congress on the persistence threat that we see from a nation state activity and really elevating that risk too, of which manufacturing and oil and gas and other critical infrastructure verticals are a part of that. So this is all being combined into, again, more people assessing that we need to bring more security solutions to bear. And some verticals, electrical utilities, have had the NERC SIP regulations in place for a long time, which is a security compliance requirement, and that requirement is pretty unique, quite honestly. The other verticals in the space that we learned over time really don't have that. So we're seeing that common denominator of security from a regulation standpoint starting to evolve, and electrical utilities are long over the horizon in that regard. So there's the other added pressure there of really pending regulatory action from the government in order, again, to raise that common denominator of security that we see in critical infrastructure and critical manufacturing.
What about digital transformation? You know, we talk a lot about that at ARC, and I'm just wondering, do you see, when you have interactions, do you see customers bringing the topic up a lot?
Yeah.
It's certainly a big threat. And is there anything special they need to consider? How does that change the security?
Yeah, digital transformation, this is Industry 4.0. So this is a technological leap that we're experiencing globally. And a lot of that is led by IoT or industrial IoT devices. And long ago, IoT devices exponentially started to escalate as far as what's being brought to the network. It's cheaper technology, it's sophisticated technology. And with that, when we're bringing that into the factory and adding it onto our network, more likely those are pretty simple devices, or they may be headless devices, or the central management of that is in the cloud. So you went from one day from operating a static factory that all of a sudden you've got all these devices in place, and then also have a connection to the cloud. So there's a lot to assess there, a lot of benefits there. The reason of Industry 4.0 is to bring the technology and that data export to be processed, to being brought back, to increase production by those tenths of a percent or percentage that really differentiates success in business. So there's huge advantage to this, but likewise, really have to assess the cyber piece of this. Like, where is it communicating? How is it communicating? What is the cyber reputation of that company? Because as we bring them into the factories, as we bring them into critical infrastructure, these are all avenues where the adversaries can come into your network. So we really have to make sure that as we expand our castle, if you will, that we're building the moats outside of that to make sure that we're not inviting difficulties. So really you have to assess this new technology as we're taking advantage of it. We need to really put it under the cybersecurity magnifying glass, if you will. And then lastly, as we're doing that is taking in assessments. And so we can do internal assessments, internal audits. We as humans are always going to assess ourselves better than probably what reality shows. So highly encourage third parties to be able to come in and do that too, to give maybe a more honest assessment, and then invite in your IT folks as well. A lot of these initiatives are being brought by IT. Sometimes it's the OT people that are left alone to kind of do that, but there really is that cross-pollination that's going to bring the best solutions to the factory.
Well, because you mentioned the cloud, what about a lot of the emerging technologies? I mean, the cloud, there's 5G.
Yeah.
I mean, and then there's a lot of these new things that we see in industry, like in AI and stuff like that. So
right.
What impact is that having?
Yeah, sure. They spoke about the IoT, but if you mentioned 5G, I can mention that we have a new 5G dual modem firewall coming out in an hour, and so that is emerging tech. 5G is pretty amazing, and customers where they've been 3G, 4G, and so forth. This is a huge leap, and there's huge advantages to this. We're seeing companies that are taking their warehouses and even into the entertainment side of it, is that this industrial environment is now moving towards autonomous vehicles. So there's a lot of processing that's going on in this place, and there's also a lot of inherent security that's necessary for this. So there's a new realm there, and 5G helps promote that, and with that is also private 5G. So that's going to rapidly shift the network architecture for the advantages of, again, reaping out more on the productive side. So again, Industry 4.0, bringing a lot to the table, a lot of new tech, but with that is also new security understandings and concerns. But 5G is going to revolutionize industry. And so we at Fortinet, we're here to protect that. And then we talked about the cloud as well. So that IoT piece of it is not going away. Like I said, exponentially growing out there. 5G is the latest wave and is really going to expand cellular capability, and even at the private level. And then the cloud piece of it too. We talked about it, as far as IoT, but really cloud, and then with AI. I mean, AI has always been in the background of security. We're processing billions of bits of information to bring more security back to our customers as we process that. So AI has been around for a long time. Machine learning, what we're seeing is with that generative AI, with those language models, and so we've also built that into our security operations tools. So we'll see that rapidly evolve, but we also need to be aware of the bad side of that equation, that those threats that we mentioned before is that there's largely IT based. With these new tools, they could rapidly assimilate to be able to do that on the OT side as well. So that's one thing that I personally am really watching, is that next step of sophistication, and to see if there are more focus in that area, because it's more accessible, because the tools have allowed us to get there.
Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you today, Richard.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sid. Thanks so much.
Today we've been speaking with Richard Springer from Fortinet. Thank you for watching.